What up, what up, what up, and welcome everybody, man. Listen, welcome to the Church of Jesus Christ is not a bitch made nigga. Man, we is back. Yo, it's been a long time. All right. It's been a long time, and we shouldn't have left you without a dope beat to step to. Step two. But I'm here with my boy Max S. May, man. Listen, Max, what's going on tonight, man? How you doing?
Hey, good to see you there, Pinoy. Good to see you. I'm just chilling, watching what I think is. I hate to use this metaphor, but still, really, the calm before the storm. A lot of shit's going to be happening in the next few weeks. But I'm sure we'll be talking about some of that. It's good to be here. I'm sure we'll say something to get people to try and ban us, but we'll see what we see.
You know how this works, man. Like, we've been doing this a long time, all right, and they haven't banned us yet, but they've tried
Mm,
quite a few times, like they've tried like quite a lot, but
mhm.
we got backup channels on Rumble and BitChute and things of this nature, like if we get banned, it is what it is. We'll move around and do what we have to do and find new ways to do shit, but it is what it is. I'm Susan hates me,
Roll with it.
ever since I made fun of mariachi bands.
Well, what's to like about mariachi bands, really? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, we're not
I,
allowed to talk bad about them on this channel.
not about feminists.
No, mariachi bands. We're allowed to talk whatever
Oh,
we want about feminists.
actually, I'm actually one of those nerds who likes every kind of music. So some mariachi music is awesome.
Yeah, man. I like some reggae tone every once in a while. I'm a fan. You know.
Yeah, you could just be in the mood. That's all.
Yeah, right. You gotta be the right situation. I gotta be a certain type of drunk to like, Puerto Rican music. But
Just don't piss off Puerto Rican women. Oh, you don't
well,
want to
you
do
don't gotta be in any type of mood to like Puerto Rican women. There's a lot of
that.
fucking Puerto Rican women. You know what I mean? It is what it is.
I
Yo,
love
man.
Puerto Rican women. Anyway,
Yo, fucking Gulf City, Nicholas Donkers out here, sons of patriarchy. Man, listen, how the fuck y'all doing tonight? Welcome, my brothers, welcome. Yo, man, Max. So I was reading, there's an article they just posted, man. They just came to a deal on this new stimulus package. Everybody's gonna get $600.
a week, a month,
No, one time you're gonna get $600.
and then that's it.
Yeah. It's only like you gotta remember. So like okay, so
Okay,
here's
so when do they get this last check? Is it on a specific date, or are they gonna like
I'm
trickle
assuming
out?
after the first of the year. I don't know, man. I really don't. You know what I mean? Like I just know you're getting six, like, whatever.
Get $600, and that's the end of it. Okay, okay. So I'm just going to take it at face value that you just reported that correctly, and it's a disgrace on 15 levels at once. So I hardly know where to begin. But the bottom line is, everybody look the fuck out. What happens after those last checks roll out? Oh my goodness gracious! If at this point, I will quote Tim Pool. Tim Pool, who I still, he continues to get more and more purple every day, but still, I don't think he's red pilled enough. But Tim Pool, more than a month ago, called it. 2 months ago, I think, called it. He says, "Yeah, I spent years laughing at preppers. You know who's laughing at us now? Preppers." Um, Shit, man. In fact, I'm not even saying I'm Mr. Super Prepper, but dadgummit, everybody listening should start listening to some prepper channels now. You really just should, to get their perspective, because, and I will say this, that anybody who tells you there's always something you can do to be more prepared than you are. The biggest thing you can be when the checks run out, or when the evictions start hitting, and you have not prepared at all. But what can you do within your means? You can start with a baseball bat or a tire iron. It starts there. How far ahead can you go from there? What's within your resources? Have you reached out to family members yet and started making plans for what happens if XYZ or happens? Because shit's gonna get real economically. There's gonna be a lot of people out there looking for food, looking for shelter. I mean, it's already happening in parts of the U.S., but I don't. That's going to accelerate. On a moral level, I got two ways to say, and then I'll just shut up and listen to your opinion because I want to hear your take. Because there's so many takes on this, right? There's no one right take,
You're
but
not wrong.
right. And on another level, it's outrageous that they're printing this money and just giving it away because that's actually a trap that many people have no other choice, have been given no other choice on, but it's still a trap, like happened to the American Indians. And finally, and they're inflating the money supply. But guess what? The greatest outrage is who's getting most of the money. We get $600 while these banking and other institutions got literally trillions. I'm sorry. There's Catholics who pop a nut that I come on here and talk
Well,
because I am
we
very
went over
Catholic,
this.
but fuck this shit, man. This is some bullshit. I pray for these demonic fuckers pulling this. $600. Okay, go ahead. What is your opinion?
Interdimensional space demons are out here, spirit cooking children, and in the bottom of the bowels of the Vatican. But like,
Parts of that are true, at least. Go ahead.
But that's not what it is. Like, you got to remember, like, all the rest of the money that they're going to print out. Basically what they're going to do is they're going to give the money to the Fed, and the Fed is going to take that money and it's going to loan out 10 times it, right? And it's not just going to give it to the banks. For the most part, what it's going to do is it's going to buy mortgages, it's going to buy fucking municipal bonds, and it's going to buy fucking state and local fucking facilities and like help bail out. And a lot of this is going to state and local fucking municipalities to help them get through this shit since they don't have any money to be able to get through.
See, and to me, that is the scam. That just pulls more power in the more power in the hands of the Fed, gives us the more concentration of the banking class. The banking class is the problem, and usury is what the problem is. And that's why I even often think what's going on in the election, it does matter. But in the end, as long as these motherfuckers, you often seem to give them credit for doing a good job. I do not. I don't think the Federal Reserve has ever done anything good for America in its entire existence and is an active enemy to the world. That's kind of where I'm at. But now I've ranted on too much. I genuinely look at this and say, no, really, there's some. Look at it, Pinoy. These big corporate fat cats are destroying all these little businesses, buying all this stuff up. A lot of this real estate's just going to crash, and it's also going to get snapped up. The ownership class is getting tighter and tighter, and the people who don't have shit class is getting bigger and bigger. And don't tell me there's not a better way of doing it than this. This is getting us more and more into
the only legit
corporatist globalist thing.
Oh, hang on, wait. Here's the problem, right? The issue is that we have democracy. The problem is that we have, right? Hang on, no. I'm going to explain this because it's very, very simple, right? Like, when you have democracy, what you're going to end up having is fucking people vote for shit that doesn't make any sense and vote for people. And people are going to try and get elected on shit that doesn't make any sense. They're going to try to have their cake and eat it too. The choices when this shit started was really simple. Either A, we stand here and we let it run through the population and people die. Or B, we sit here and do what we're doing right now and lock down and go through all this fucking bullshit and shut down the economy and all this nonsense, right? And we stand here and at the end of the day not have anything to fucking show for it, right? Like, these were our two choices. And we decided that, hey, look, we're going to stand here and lock down, shut down.
Oh, my God. Who's we, motherfucker? Who's we?
Look, who do you think votes for these retards?
Yeah. Okay. No, this is the World Economic Forum and the United Nations bringing on a world moral government. It's a fake, phony, scamdemic. And by the way, the vaccines are poison. It's fake. Nobody's got it. The tests don't work at all. The statistics are therefore as fake as global warming statistics. This is fake, and it's being brought on by the corrupt World Health Organization and the UN and the World Economic Forum, which is funded by all these fucking banks. We're being intentionally destroyed with this bullshit. This is not we anything. This is being shoved down our throats. I don't wear a fucking mask unless they make me. I don't wear social distancing unless they make me.
This is a we thing. You have to understand that. Is that like, Look,
Well, I'm a
look, so
resistor who's going to have to be killed or jailed or something.
I got what you're saying, right? And like when I say we, I say the we as in the American populace,
Yeah.
because 75% of America fucking like they agree with more lockdowns.
I'm not sure that the resistance isn't bigger than you think. You're relying on the controlled mainstream media for figures like that. I see resistance all over the place, and
I don't care if it's
people being
50%. I
bullied
don't care
into
if it's
compliance.
30%. It's fucking much for me
Well,
personally.
under this regime, if only 30% of people support it, but they support it strongly, they will bully the rest of us. That's
No.
they actively do that now. I've already experienced it. These fucking mask Nazis who think it's their job to tell people to wear a mask. It's disgusting, but it's us cooperating in our own destruction. That's how I see that.
I hate to be a dick. This is what happens when you let females vote.
Well, to be honest with you, that is half of it, and that is a good half of it. Maybe 60% of it. Might piss my wife off to hear it, but I don't care. You know, that's good 60% of it. It is more than that though, because I think that really most people underestimate just how much the media shapes the questions, the way they get to phrase the questions. They get to decide what the acceptable way to phrase the questions are for the candidates, and what the acceptable conservative or liberal answer is, and that's mostly controlled by the money men. So I mean, Trump is seen, and a lot of people believe Trump is the guy breaking that establishment. I'm cynical about Trump, but certainly that's his image, that he's the one breaking all this stuff. Because I don't mean to change subject. I know we had other subjects to talk about, but
No, you're fine.
motherfucker, you know, I can't believe how many people can't see how controlled the mainstream media truly is. We're about to, I mean, it's at least 7, if not 9 states, but at least 7 for sure, have sent dueling electors. At least 7 states, more than enough to take the win away from Biden, have been sent by Republican legislatures to the Congress. This means when they convene, they're going to have to decide which electors to select. So that and the plan of the Trump sides is definitely to challenge this. They got about 4 different ways they've got mapped out. They fully intend to challenge the election while all this other shit is with COVID is going on. We're all being, we're going to have this shit show. Because really, I think anybody who thinks that Biden's going to just peacefully sit down and become president on January 20th, it ain't going to go that way. I don't know. I know a lot of folks, and I used to do a lot of political coverage inside the Beltway in D.C. there. It was a long time ago, but still. No, Trump and his team fully plan to, one way or the other, challenge the Electoral College. They've got the support of multiple state legislatures in doing so. When the new Congress convenes on January 6th, it's going to be a shit show. And in the meantime, this stupid COVID bullshit will still be going on. That's what I expect. Go ahead.
Here's like, you got to add to that though, right? Because like there's a new COVID strain apparently, right? Like fucking like Britain's now locked down because of it, and then there's Ontario's locked down because of it. And I mean, like, is this going to continue forever?
Okay. I want to give you this one, and I'll try and give the audience some background on this, because I know I'm not just a guy who's just banging his gums on this. I used to be an investigative reporter. I used to work with some high-flying folks that had worked at places like Esquire and Harper's and Rolling Stone and places like this. I used to work with, in some of my work there, we were investigating the National Institutes of Health and NIAID, the place that Fauci was in charge of, decade and a half ago, and I was working with molecular biologists, biochemists, mathematical biologists. I spent years on this journalism work exposing just massive corruption and incompetence, especially as regards to PCR testing, antibody testing, and the questionability of a whole lot of virus science. And we got quashed really, really bad and smeared. So I won't give you more details, but let's just say I got a deep background going back a decade and a half on these fuckers at the World Health Organization and the CDC and the NIH, and you can't trust. They're a bunch of shady fuckers out to sell vaccines and test kits. That is what they are straight up, and they don't really care about efficacy. They'll keep assuring you until the cows come home that the shit is safe and works, and it doesn't. Flat out PCR tests don't real. They don't real. Anybody you know who's got a COVID diagnosis is just because the doctor made it up, or he took a test that will test positive about 50% of the time in anybody. And then they run these fake statistics saying the cases are going up. This entire complex of the virus hunters is a way to sell test kits and vaccines. Just straight up, that's what it is. And whether the vaccines in general are effective or not, I don't know. But they're going to, all these people, Merck and Pfizer, and I can't even remember them all now. Shit, I remember I once went to the headquarters with a lawyer at a court order to Glaxo's headquarters. But all these fuckers are going to make money on all this, selling these tests and these vaccine kits, which the government will give to you for free, i.e. is buying for you and selling to these companies. Where were we going on this? Oh, you asked about a new strain. Okay, a new strain of COVID. Me and a lot of the so-called conspiracy nuts that I read, who've been censored on the internet for so long, called this months ago, that there will be a new strain of COVID to come out. That it will suddenly be deadly. They will tell us that the virus has mutated, or that there's a new strain, or a new virus entirely, but it'll be another mysterious virus, and it will be a pretext for more of these lockdowns. Called it months ago. Here they are, people. By the way, they will never stop doing this to us for the rest of our lives. We will have new ones every 3 years. They're going to give us little brief breaks, but for the most part, expect to be traced, vaccinated, and locked down most of your life, especially anytime they want to quell any political problems. This is how life has been in much of China for over a decade. And actually, a lot of us were trying to warn that they were trying to bring China here, because they've been doing this with virus scares, including the lockdowns, mass and social distancing, and 24/7 surveillance state in China for more than a decade. We screamed and we told people they were going to do this here, and we got laughed at. I'm not going to say I told you so, but take this shit seriously, man. They are bringing it in. They're going to keep telling us there's new viruses and new infections for the rest of your fucking life until y'all say, bullshit, I ain't taking your shots, I ain't taking your tests. I just do not see the American
eventually
ever having the balls to do it.
Here again, see, and this is the fucking problem that we run into, is that people aren't gonna stand up until they fucking have to, right? Until they go, all right, we jumped through all your hoops. Can we go back to work now and handle our business?
It was supposed to be like 3 weeks.
Let me finish, please.
Yeah,
right?
Sorry.
You've been talking for 10 minutes. I'll let you go. Right?
I talk too much. Go ahead.
Yeah, I got you, right? Where everybody's gonna go, can we get back to our lives and shit? And then individuals are gonna stand here and they're gonna stand here and go, oh no, there's a new strain of COVID, we got to lock down again. And motherfuckers just going to go, all right, fuck it. We're going to go to war. It is what it is. We can't do this any fucking more. Or either that or the government's going to have to pay everybody, and they know they can't, is the bitch, right? The government knows that they cannot pay it. Yeah. They know they can't keep printing money, because you're just going to end up with hyperinflation. And that's the problem that they're running into right now. And that's why you're not getting 1,200 and you're getting the 6 instead of the 12, and it's still only 980 billion. Because what they're going to do is, and again, they're going to take a piece of this money, give it to the Fed, and the Fed is going to loan it out at 10 times the rate, which is probably going to be around 300 or 400 billion of this $980 billion that they're printing off. Right, they're going to take 400 billion and turn it into something like 4 trillion, somewhere right around there, right? And they're going to loan that out, and they're going to put it in for buying back mortgages, backing up stocks, backing up companies that are losing their asses, standing here loaning out money to individuals to pay payrolls, all these type of things, right? And in general, enriching the lives of, the top 1%, because that's what happens when you create money. That's literally, it's not a plan, but that's a byproduct that's going to happen. Anytime that you stand here and you fucking print money, you will enrich the life of the top 1% of this country because they're the ones who hold all the assets. It's that simple. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. I didn't, and I was just trying to make supportive noises there, not interrupt. I feel you. The only thing I'm gonna say is, we've got to lose the term conspiracy theory fast. We really do. Just go read COVID-19: The Great Reset by Klaus Schwab. Read his previous books. He's the guy behind a lot of what's been taught in business schools and even management schools for the last few decades. Actually, even when I got my business degree, because I got one, I learned his stakeholder capitalism. It's in the company. And it's in companies I've worked in, and all of his ideas are very prevalent in corporate America, actually, much of which is completely down with the agenda. And totally one of the things that is right in there proposed of what to do with the problem. He's flat out states the middle class in America is unsustainable and won't exist anymore, basically, or will shrink massively. And probably the buyout a lot of people are going to be offered is going to be real simple. Yeah, they will buy your mortgage and the bank will hold your mortgage. And what they'll do is they'll offer you to rent it out for your life as long as you don't own it anymore. And they'll just keep the property. And that's a standing proposal on the board that they're planning to implement. Now, I don't know how much will trickle down here or not.
I mean,
people are conspiracy theorists. You know, the world. Let me just point out the world's banks support this guy.
I know, but that already happened.
Yeah, well, okay, it's still happening. It's going to happen at an accelerated rate.
I feel you. Like the Fed right now owns like 38 to 39% of all U.S. mortgages at the moment.
It's absurd.
Right. I feel you. Like they shouldn't do that. But like the reasons why, like they house them on the books, and I don't think they ever got below like 28, 29% of all mortgages. And the reason they're doing this is so that like the mortgage market doesn't go downward.
Sure.
Michael Hatfield, what up? DJ Ronnie G, Gulf City Spectral, Umbreon, Prime Mover, man, Acadia. How y'all doing? Welcome, my brothers. It's nice to see you, right?
All right, we have an audience.
Yeah, man. I want to say what up to the crowd. You know, my brothers and shit. How the hell y'all doing out here? And well, you know, I don't know what Acadia, whether that's a fucking guy or girl, I'm not sure.
For everybody who's listening, he's imagining all these people. He's just sitting there typing to himself. No.
Right. Yeah. I'm typing right now, apparently. Like, right. But yeah, so
hello everybody. Everybody.
The problem is like they have like they're trying to hold on to these mortgages to prop up the fucking the whatchamacallit, the fucking mortgage market, right? The fucking housing market. But like, you know, how long can you really do that?
Right.
Like at some point, like it's gonna get to the level where people can no longer afford houses in general.
Well, yeah. I mean, we already even passed kind of that point, but now it's gone to maybe you could do it to fat fucking chance for most people. And actually what that's going to result in, I think, just overall is property values in general will actually go down. In most places. I genuinely think that they're going forward with this whole smart cities thing, which, you know, they want to do by 2030. And that means doing a lot of demolishing what used to be there. And we know that a lot of strip malls and businesses, you know, landlords who may have retired owning 5 houses or, you know, 6 or 7 business rental properties are losing their shit now too. So, I mean, the amount we're really going to be going to socialist style poverty conditions, whether Trump wins or not. I really wish more people could hear that. They're all focused on Trump, but it's like whether he wins or not, nobody's going to own shit. And they want to keep these social distancing things as like standard policy for everywhere you fucking go. So even if you're not locked down at the moment, they can lock you down anytime they want to. That's part of the plan. And it is a plan. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's just a plan. Read the fucking book. Look at who these people are. They're going to want to level a lot of current real estate. Just level it. Just get rid of it. make it go away. They want to build super big high rises in the cities. See, so-called smart cities now. You keep hearing the slogans from the Democrats, build back better. You hear that from Pierre Trudeau up in Canada too, build back better. They're literally intentionally destroying these cities so that they can demolish large amounts of it and build these super large high rise, living cities that are also 24/7, smart grid surveillance states. They're building it now. They're openly stating this. I'm making none of it up.
Yeah. Like fucking,
You
I know,
know?
Google's building them and shit, and like they're fucking trying to build them in China and things of this nature.
And
Yeah,
that's
like
what they're going to be looking at doing in New York, dude. And that's what they're going to be looking at doing in Detroit, probably. Well, Detroit's already special. I don't know, but Chicago, places like that. But yeah, and so I mean, I would actually anybody looking to have any sort of independence going forward, you should just assume we're going to be getting virus panics for the rest of our lives. They're just never going to stop. So how do we adjust to that as the new normal? Because you look at the people running these institutions, they're more or less saying that openly. So we're going to be afraid of these viruses forever. We shouldn't be, but whatever. I can't argue with people anymore. I had a masked Nazi screaming at me for not having it on tight enough, and I'm like, fuck this. This is what we've turned into as a people. We're sheep now. So get used to it. Get used to having to work from home. And you're either going to sell out to the state and you're going to sell out some agreement so that you own nothing and they give you a guaranteed minimum income, which basically means you are now property of the state. You might as well be on an Indian reservation and getting the government cheese. And that's it. Hope gone for you and your kids. You take that deal. So the only other way out is to be finding ways to have some kind of independence off that grid. I don't know what all the strategies are.
I don't know.
For some, it's going to be getting into gold and silver and crypto, but for some, it may just be really learn some fucking skills that you can trade and barter on.
Well, I know out here, like we don't have these problems that the rest of y'all do, right?
Well,
well, okay. See, like here's the thing. Like again, Pennsylvania is a whole different animal than the rest of the country, like all together. Because we have the mom and pop shit from the East Coast. We have all the immigrant stuff, from the East Coast.
And people want to shut all y'all down, but go ahead.
Right. Yeah, I feel you. Right. But here's the thing, like, we live in an area, like I live in an area where you can walk in anywhere without a mask and nobody says shit to you. Right. Like, we burn our garbage out back. Like fucking, we do whatever the fuck we want out here. This is our neck of the woods. And it's like this in most of the rest of like the state is as you go northwest, it just continues to be like this and never stops.
Well, you're going to want to hope it stays that way. You might be surprised to see it show up nearer you than you think, but maybe. The number one thing I really would advise starting making or reconnecting with every single local business person and thinking of, because this really, let's say you've been invested a lot in crypto and you've also bought yourself a lot of silver certificates and gold. Silver looks like a good deal right now. Because of cyber warfare attacks that the Department of Homeland Security is already openly warning may have already occurred, like when Google was down earlier this week. And IT, I know a lot about this because I've done a lot of things in my life, but I'm also a certified network engineer. Believe me or don't, I know IT stuff. And there was a big Google outage earlier this week. Homeland Security is saying they think it was a Chinese attack. They're saying we should expect more like this. The new horizon in warfare. It used to be he who controls the skies rules the world. Who controls the interwebs is going to be. And, if they manage to take out either foreign attackers or, civil war actors within the United States, go after the grid, that often means it might mean the power grid, but it also might very, very well mean the internet grid. And guys are thinking, I won't be able to get to the web for a while. No, I mean, they'll hit every layer of the stack so that, the deeper layer stuff where banking transactions occur and stuff, and possibly even, some of the blockchains will just be disrupted. Basically, no ability to get to your electronic cash for a month. Are you ready to survive on that? No Bitcoin, know anything because the fucking grid's down. There ain't no internet, motherfuckers. Now how you gonna live? I would actually be thinking in these terms. That doesn't mean don't have anything electronic, but realize you may need to get. I mean, lots of people more and more are experiencing power outages, and I can tell you. This is also true. I sound like the guy who's done everything right, but I used to do contract work for the energy companies out here in Michigan, help them do contingency planning actually. And the state of the infrastructure in Michigan for the power grid was not good about 15 years ago when I was helping them do contingency planning for disasters. It has not gotten better. So, I mean, there's all parts of the country where if there's a big power outage, you may be out for days or more, especially when ain't nobody got no money to pay no electric bill.
I'll be honest, like, I mean, like, we'll be cool.
Probably you will be in your part of the. I pray you are correct. I really am. Because I mean, I pray you're correct because this quote unquote new strain, I call bullshit on it because no virus can do the shit that they're attributing to it anyway. So even if it's quote unquote real, it's a bad chest cold, guys, and no vaccine, experimental vaccine is going to be worth it, and they're going to keep doing this because people get scared by it. I'm like, there's real reasons to doubt any of it, but let's presume it's all they say that it is. Really, we should just be saying, "Let us get sick." Then, I mean, this is madness. But this is me ranting.
Well, again, this is what we should have did from the start.
Pretty much.
Hey, Buzz, how you doing, man? Welcome, my brother. Welcome.
Hello, Buzz.
Right, like this is what we should have did in the very beginning. Is let us take a choice to get sick. I mean, it's all fucking.
I don't want to keep ranting all day about it, but a lot of people are missing this. These lockdowns have really devastated a lot of old people and a lot of people like dying of cancer and hospice care. And, it's touched people I know. You go out on the internet and look at the censored sites and there's stories of it everywhere. Basically dying grandmas who just want to touch and hug their grandchildren, who aren't being allowed to because of COVID. And to protect them allegedly, and they're sitting there crying and saying, "I just want to see my children. I don't care."
Yeah, but the bitches, they're kids, who are stopping them, right? That's the fucking problem. It's their yuppie fucking children who are fucking doing it. Is the issue?
No. There's a whole lot of, and you know what? And children who are doing that to them, I have an issue with. I really do. But I've heard and seen enough horror stories of people being blocked, being told you're not allowed. People in hospice care dying of cancer. They've only got a few days left, so they got limits on whether people can come see them because COVID. So they're dying alone and they're not getting to see all their relatives before they die. It's sick. And yes, people can defy it. And a lot of people do. And I assure you, I promise you, if I were dying of lung cancer right now and had emphysema and whatever, I would beg my kids to come and hug and kiss me and take off the motherfucking masks, while they're doing it. This fear, this is just wrong, man. It's just wrong on every fucking level.
Yeah, like I'm be honest with you, man. Like, there's been times that hospitals have tried to stop me from doing things, right?
I have had that talk with. I've actually advised people that way. Go ahead, because you should tell people. There's sometimes you just defy them. Don't even argue, right? Go ahead, tell me.
Just tell them to eat a dick. You're gonna do what you're gonna do, right? And if security and the police try to step up, you just fucking swing because you're fully allowed at that point.
All right, let me say that I'm on your side up until that one right there, because that's just asking for trouble. I will tell you what I believe is really truly the better strategy.
This is the problem. This is work. No one is fighting.
This is how it works. No, I do know. People just have to have the idea in the head. So I'm spreading this meme. Listen, guys, because I see this too. People, like, if they do what they do, you do, then you might just go to jail. Wait a minute. Okay, so what do I do? They're scared. They don't know what to do. Here's what you actually do. You don't argue at all. But I mean, if you see a clear shot to get to your dying relative, I genuinely believe morally, if they want to see you, you should go. B, you just sit there and say, Okay, and wait until their distraction, and just walk quietly, like you have every business doing what you're doing, quickly, briskly, as if with a beeline on your eyes to where you're going, not looking anybody in the eyes, just like you completely belong to what you're doing. 9 times out of 10, you make no scene that way. You go sit. I told a guy to do this, and he did it. To go hold her hand and sit on the floor and just sit there with her. And if they come in and they start yelling at you, just don't move. Don't even argue. Just don't fucking move and say, I'm not
I'm
leaving.
I'm I'm gonna say
You
it
know?
like this, right? I'm gonna say it like this. Real shit. Being a political prisoner, all right, is sometimes a necessity.
Well, that's true too, but choose your battles, son. That's all
No,
I'd
no, no,
say.
no. Like you need to take everything to the mattresses at this point. Like I'm be honest with you. Like there's no point in not taking it to the mattresses at this point. Like everything needs to be taken to the mattresses.
Be
Like
smart,
because we're not taking anything at all is the bitch. Nobody's fighting for shit. Everybody's just being a bitch and letting motherfuckers just walk all over them. And I'm not behind that ideology. Like I'm just not.
right?
Like if my
Right.
kid was sick in a hospital, you think for 1 second there's a fucking nurse or a security guard on the goddamn planet that would stop me from going and being with my fucking children? Are you
Yeah.
out of your fucking mind?
Okay. Well, can I make a few interesting observations there? Because one of the things I immediately flashed on from my advocacy in men's rights and fathers' rights is one of the reason all these divorced kids are having so much trouble is they don't have dads to back them up because of the divorce culture. And that's not all on the dads by any means; it's on both parents. But so we don't have angry fathers like you anymore, backing up a lot of the system. They don't. They're estranged from their kids. Most of them, a lot of them. But at the deeper level, uh, I like to say I've had one foot in what you, Tom Pino'd call the white world, by which you mean the upper middle class, corporatized world of quote unquote white people who are increasingly diverse and not white, by the way.
Yeah.
In I've had one foot in that world and one foot in the bottom. I used to repo cars in Detroit, and and drive a truck and stuff like that too. I can't remember what point I was leading up to that I mentioned that though. Um, yeah, sorry. Well, because I'm getting old.
I'm just here's what I'm
Here,
saying. Here's
what
where
I'm
I'm at. Not only look, there's a reason my baby's moms have kids with me. All right.
yeah, no. Here's
It's
what
it's
I'm saying.
it's legitimately because when I walk up to somebody, they take a step back. That's why.
Your
It's
and your
every
kids are
fucking
lucky to
time,
have that. Your kids are
right?
lucky to have that. In fact, they will come to appreciate that as they get older. Absolutely, they will. Although
Right.
sometimes you probably make them cringe because you might go over the top.
Oh yeah, yeah. Because I mean, they're
And,
fucking. Like they're terrified it'll be turned on them. But that's not the
um,
point. What I'm saying is this, right? Wait, hang on. What I'm saying is this at the moment. I'm saying that these motherfuckers here, legit. If they really, really wanted a goddamn problem, like, and they tried to stop me from seeing my fucking kid or being with my kid. Like, if my fucking girl goes into labor and fucking I gotta, and they tell me I can't be in the hospital with her, you're gonna hear about Tom Pease on the news.
how about if your dad's in the hospital and critical care and can't make it, and they say no, you got
Exactly.
to be dead.
Like, are you out? Like, there's no nurse or doctor or cop in the world that's gonna.
Here's
They're gonna have to put a bullet in me.
well,
Real
here's the thing.
you know,
Here's the
they
thing.
better put enough in to keep me down because there ain't no
Now,
fucking way I'm
I
back. If
love,
I gotta go in there armed, I'll fucking do it. I don't give a fuck.
I
Yo,
love.
fuck the government, fuck the goddamn fucking COVID bullshit, fuck all these faggots and
Well,
their fucking garbage being scared of everything. I'm not one of them. All right. I'm not scared to
you,
go to jail. And I was just telling a story earlier about
you,
going to fucking jail when these motherfuckers try to bag me for attempted vehicular fucking homicide. Right. And they
uh,
tried to they tried to get me, and they fucking stood there and they slammed my fucking ass up against the fucking jump. And as they were walking by the fucking cell when they threw me in there, I'm spitting on them and telling them to eat a fucking dick. Like, yo, there's no fucking way in the motherfucking world you're gonna catch me standing here being a bitch. Like, there's no fucking way in the world you're gonna get me to back down no matter how hard they hit. I'm gonna fucking continue to move forward, and I'm not gonna let my fucking family down because that's how I was raised.
Tell it. I love this side of you, Tom Pinoy. It's one of the best sides of you. I gotta say though, and this is where that older generation, younger generation disconnect happens, because as the older man who's been on the tough side of life, not just around corporate America, I've seen me some physical abuse. Let me just put it to you that way, and I've dealt some. Um, uh, it is often wiser not to fight, as the there's better ways to fight quite frequently. Your approach in this situation may not be the most productive way to actually get to the child. I would really recommend to you and any young man that you investigate a little short book called Verbal Judo by George L. Thompson on how to use the verbal art of persuasion effectively, like a samurai warrior would, like a judo master would, to disarm your opponent, to distract your opponent, to leave your verbal opponent astray or distracted so that you can get what you want.
I'm gonna use Italian judos. You don't know if I got a gun. You don't know if I got a knife. You don't know what the fuck I got.
I just dangerous, motherfucker. No, but I'm talking about strategy. Be smart. Be smart.
Fuck, yo, look, it's real shit. This is the problem. This is the problem. Look, if they stand here and they try to come get your guns, real shit, if you make them pay every fucking time and blast off every time they come to your door for your fucking weapons, they'll stop coming after a few fucking thousand of them fucking get clipped.
You tell it. No, I'm with you on the guns thing. If they come to your house,
you're not with me on fucking abandoning the fucking kids in a hospital.
No, please listen to me. I'm not trying to be condescending. I'm telling you, this is even something I learned. This is something I even learned repossessing cars. Okay, when you give somebody aggression, that gives them pretext to escalate with aggression back. If you can learn to redirect their aggression, that's actually considerably more powerful. Sometimes you have no other choice. You've got an opponent that the only way is to go through him, not around him, right? But quite frequently you can. And in a lot of these situations, it's just like, I'm sitting there thinking what it would actually look like if you did this in a hospital. And I'm like 50-50, he goes to jail, and then the kid is traumatized and don't see his daddy no more. Now, here's another scenario.
Look, here, I'm gonna tell you. Let me tell you a story about when I was. All right. Let me tell you a story about when I was sick when I was a child. All right. Me and my sister was sick when I was a kid, and my dad found out, and my sister was throwing up all over the place and whatever, and he was highly concerned. So he comes over to my mom's house, and she calls the fucking law. Right. And the law shows up. My dad grabs two of the fucking cops and bounces them off a fucking telephone pole. Right. And he's fucking standing there squaring up with the cops in the middle of the street. And at no point in my life had I ever been prouder to be his fucking son, even as they're hauling his ass away in cuffs, because he fucking cared that much about me.
I can see the valiance in that, okay? And without drawing judgment of that particular situation, I think your child seeing you go down fighting is the best thing to do. The question, if you study the way the ancient masters of war, whether tactics or strategy is, most of the time your best bet is to let the enemy expend his own energy and use his own energy against him. This is a martial arts principle. This is an ancient warrior's principle. And quite frequently, you're going to be faced with these stupid, dumb program bureaucrats, which is what these people are, what these mass Nazis are. And so, like in a situation like yours, my priority would be getting to my kid. And so, and I just described a strategy that works probably 9 times out of 10. Which is basically sit there and act like you're and passively accept it. Don't actively accept, but like, oh, okay, that's the rule. I understand. Blah, 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 blah. Wait for your moment and then just stride like you know what you're doing, right where you want to go, and go sit by your relative, and then refuse to move. Now you've got power and leverage, and they have to come make the scene in front of the kid, and they have to decide they even want to make the scene at all. And you've just gotten the power. That's a more winning strategy. That is a samurai master. That is a judo master at play, and you got to learn that shit in this coming environment. I'm
I
telling
feel
you.
you. I feel you. But like
Tell you.
all men respect honor. Like
They
it is
do.
what it
They
is.
do.
Like, yo, and like legit, if
No,
they
no, no, no. Wait a minute. I know all men do not accept honor.
no,
That's
no, no,
another
they
mistake.
respect it. They don't fucking accept it. They respect it though. And that's the principle that a lot of motherfuckers miss. Like all men respect honor. Period. Right. If you see a man willing to die for his fucking kids, like yo, you will not
Sure,
fight it. It's that simple.
sure. But we live
You
in
know
a
what I mean?
world
And
that
like, yo,
treat.
like my grandfather had a saying. He said, "What you do today, you got to sleep with tonight." Right. And like, yo, if you do some shit to take a man away from his fucking children, you know what I mean, or keep a man from seeing his sick kids, how are you gonna sleep that night?
And I'll tell you, you're just describing the situation of millions of dads who've lost access to their kids, and a whole system that is set up to arrest crazy motherfuckers like you and put you away, and even put you, even call you a danger to your kids, so that they can't see you no mo. So you got to fight smart, is all I must say. All right,
I
you've done time in
understand.
the joint, fine, but your kids need you now.
Yo, I
Kids
feel
need
where
you
you
now.
are. I feel
Yeah,
where you are, right? But like legit,
yeah.
like it's better off that your kids understand that you give a fuck that much. You know what I mean? That you're willing to put down your life for theirs at any given moment. And that's what's
My
important.
kids may see that. My kids may well see that. I actually see the potential of it going that badly, but I'm never going to push for. I'm going to always avoid that situation by farting like a smart warrior instead. The smart warrior makes his enemy expend all his energy while expending as little of his own as he can. That's the smart warrior. That's all I'll say while I pontificate as an old man. You may respond, sir. I actually need to take a 2-minute break.
Well, yeah, do your thing. I'm saying like yo, Templar though, like what I'm saying is that like my fucking my baby's moms are gonna tell my kids exactly what the deal was. You know what I mean? Because like yo, they respect that shit too. And that's why they fucking like me. You know, and that's why they're around me. Like, why ain't your dad here? Because he went to jail trying to see you in the hospital. It's that simple. You know what I mean? Like, yo, that's not what it is. Like, she'll be pissed off that I'm in jail. And it's like she'll bitch to him about that. But on the same point, they'll know why the fuck I'm in jail and they'll fucking respect the shit out of that. You know what I mean? They'll understand. And like there's some things in this world worth fucking, there's some things in this world worth fucking crying for, some things in this world worth fucking killing for, and some things in this world worth going to jail for. And like, yo, your kids and your family are those things. You know what I mean? There's just things in this world that legit you cannot motherfucking like let go. It doesn't matter what happens. Like, yo, you have to stand here and fucking like, yo, because here's like Templar, got to remember, I got a good relationship with my kids' mothers and shit at this point. You know, my oldest son's 18. Like like she completely understands the deal. She knows, like she's completely with it. She has fucking seen me stand here and kill myself for my fucking kid. She has seen me fucking put my life on my line for my fucking kid. She's seen that shit and she fully respects that ideology. And my kid has too. Right, my kid
That's
has
all
fucking
good.
when we came out the woods and them cops had the fucking burners on us, right? And like they had fucking like 60 cops lined up. You know what I mean? I fucking stood forward and put them behind my fucking back and shit. And my sons remember that and tell me that fucking story. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, it is what it is.
Dude, yeah, I understand the spirit of a lot of that. I guess you just can't hear fight smart. I'm not saying any of that is wrong in this particular situation, but always fight smart. Don't go looking to fight. Make them spend the energy. Sometimes you're going to be the cornered rat. Okay, and then you're going to have to take a chunk out of the motherfuckers. Don't get cornered. That's
Underdog. It's not that you feel like a superhero. That's not the deal in
I
any way, shape.
know. I know
No,
that.
no, like you're fully aware that
All
you're
right.
immortal. You
All
are
right.
mortal completely, right? But
You
like,
hear me? Yeah.
I can hear you completely. But hang on, I'm just talking to underdog. You said, is it true when you have a kid, you feel like a superhero to the point where you will do anything to keep them safe, right?
Well,
And like,
well,
that's not what it is, right? What
well.
it is is that like you will stand here and do whatever the fuck you can do within your goddamn power. And you know what I mean, if you have the ability to stand here and swing and handle your fucking business and lay men down, that's what the fuck it is you will do. You know what I mean? If that's in you, that's what you'll do.
Can I answer that question?
Go ahead, man.
The word superhero. I mean, I almost the question almost does make it sound like it comes from a guy who didn't know his dad too well, or didn't have a very strong father figure. But it's frequent for kids to see their dads as superheroes. It is frequent for dads to want to try to live up to that in some fashion. The guys who tried too hard inevitably fail and crash because they can't sustain it. And then their kids wind up too uptight anyway. But in general, if you truly have bonded with your child, and had a chance to, you become like you can become like Hulk. You know, you will do things you would never imagine yourself being willing to do. The adrenaline will pump, and you will be ready to do damn near anything. The culture, unfortunately, has done so much to separate fathers or destroy fathers to make it impossible for a father to be a sole breadwinner, or a primary breadwinner even. And it got the divorce culture. We've lost how to do this. Without picking on Pinoy, the only thing I'm saying is it seems like he's got that male aggression thing down, and that male idea of honor down, but he can't hear that quite often. Wait a minute. And it's kind of supposed to be the job of grandpas to talk like this, by the way. And I am a grandfather age, young grandfather, but still, to say, wait a minute, temper your temper, son, fight smart. This is not the hill to die on. There's better ways on this one. If you're always looking for the fight, the police or anybody else will be ready to engage. You don't have to be looking for the fight. You can make them fight.
Well, but it's not about looking for the fight, right? It's about like, there are things in this life that, like, my kids are the one thing in this world that I will legit, like, end of the day, like, end of me. I don't care. I don't give a fuck what happens. You know what I mean? It's that's for my kids. It's that simple.
Can we take a vote in the chat? What is the better strategy? A, punch the nurse and go walk in there, or B, quietly say okay, and when she turns her back, just go walk in there and sit down. Which is the better choice, audience?
No, you're not going to have that opportunity.
All right? I already have advised people who used it.
You're not going to have that opportunity to get even close to that area of where you're kids.
Okay. No, right? Okay, maybe we should change the subject, because I just told you I advised people who do it, and they reported that it worked.
No. So what I'm saying is, right, is that legit, you are not going to be able to get there without kicking down a couple of fucking doors. You know what I'm saying?
Sometimes you won't. Sometimes
I don't know, like hospitals where I'm at, like they always got like fucking them electric doors that are held on with magnets and all that.
Oh, dude, you'd be surprised how easy to get it. I should send y'all a video sometime on black hat hackers sometimes, who are the guys whose job professionally is to break into systems. And the most fun guys are the ones who are what are called the social hackers. And they're often the most effective of all. Like, you hear about all these code wizards and stuff, right, who do all this magic with their keyboards and their master hacking skills. And at least one I watched interviewed was considered one of the very best black hackers in the world, and he hardly ever even uses technology. He just walks around and psychs people the fuck out, and walks in places where he doesn't belong all the time, without even really using disguises or anything, just minimal disguise, like look like the employee dress code disguise would be as far as he would go, and otherwise he would get into multi-billion-dollar facilities with multi-million-dollar security systems. Fighting smart often includes just evading these fuckers. And I'm just only otherwise going to repeat, look, I advised a guy who was scared because he didn't know what to do, because they kept telling him not to he couldn't go see his dying mother. And I told him what to do, and he went and did it. And it was like, thank you. So this does happen. Look for shit like that. You don't need to start the fight if you can find a way not to fight. because what happened at this hospice was they fucking, made a lot of noise and clucked like mother hens, and nobody came and nothing happened. The end. They were broken. They were defeated. Their threats came to nothing, and their bluff was called. And so he reigned victorious and actually got to see his dying mom, rather than just spending the night in jail. That's all I'm saying. I'm just saying. It can happen. Keep an eye. Fight smart, young warrior. Fight smart. Samurai master says. Fight smart. But what was you wanted to talk about something else?
All right.
Spiritual shit?
Well,
because that's all more important than any of this garbage we're talking about. Anyway.
Like, no, because like, this is kind of the whole point of like this church, right? Is that Jesus wasn't a punk, right?
He wasn't. He actually wasn't. He is often portrayed as a sissy, and you know what? I've read that New Testament quite a few times. He weren't no pussy. By the way, there are Catholics who lose their nut on me for appearing on shows like that, but they don't understand. There's a class thing going on here, even with the language, but I won't get into it. People are on this show are the people Jesus hung out with, and he was not a bitch. I mean, turn the other cheek even can be misapplied to how people interpret it, but like, this is the same motherfucker who took out a whip and was driving the money loaders out of the temple, and this was actually the motherfucker who said certain people are going to hell. He's not.
Well, he also like the story of him going and seeing when he went in the Galatians, right? When the Galatians came up to him, the Galatian soldiers and the people, like, he had just got done performing some miracle. He was in Galilee, and like the Galatian soldiers came up and they said, Jesus, you need to like stop. Standing here and telling you need to tell these people to be quiet. And Jesus told them, he looked them in the face and he said, if I fucking tell these people to be quiet, the rocks will sing out for me. Right. And literally what he was saying is that if I tell these people to be quiet, you will end up getting stoned.
And here's the thing, that when people read the Bible, and I'm very Catholic in case anybody wonders, and if you can't handle that, too bad. But when you read the Bible, which I do a lot, you see over and over again that, well, of course we're supposed to be peaceful as far as is possible, be on good terms with everybody. That's something St. Paul said, but still it's in the Bible. And there's a lot else in there, but when you got to gird your loins for battle, you do. And sometimes that'll be with your mouth, and sometimes you have to defend yourself. When he sent his early disciples out, Jesus sent them out without any weapons, but later on they were instructed to carry swords. And, those weren't butter knives. You look at the history of Christianity going back a long time, and there were orders of monks that carried swords and were warriors. Christianity is actually more pacifist than most religions, but we're not pacifists. And there has been this mentality that is set up. It's not just Catholics; it's everybody within Christianity. This mentality that Christians are required to be pussies, especially Christian men, and it's ridiculously not true. In fact, everybody respects a strong male leader. Women respect men more who take a leadership role. They just do. They want it. They want to lead in their own ways, and they want to get their own way sometimes, but they want a man to lead. They just do. Kids want a male authority figure to lead, to protect them. I praise the spirit, if not always the method. There, you're talking about there as a father phenoid.
Like Jesus, he sat here and he said, look, when the soldiers ran up to him, he said, Jesus, we want to go to your father's house when we pass, but we don't, we're soldiers, we kill people, that's what we do. And he said, you're soldiers, that's what you're supposed to do. He said, just be good men and don't take advantage of your position, don't extort the people.
I don't
right? Like,
remember this. I don't remember where that is. Could you reference that for me sometime? I don't remember that
yeah,
specifically.
I get it to you afterwards. You know what I'm saying? And Joe
Sure.
Reed,
No
well,
problem.
you know what I'm saying? Have you a wrench? You know what I'm saying? Nice to see you out here, right?
Mhm.
This is a wrench no state. You know what I'm saying? Everybody gets a wrench. That way, no one ever gets silenced, and everybody has the freedom of speech in my chat. That's how I feel about things, right? So,
Right.
you know what I mean? But like, yeah, he told the soldiers, he said, look, you know, I mean, you know, you're soldiers, you can go to my father's house, you know, and you know, my father prepares a place for everybody. So understand, like, that's an important thing to understand about, you know, the entire religion as a whole. Is like right now they preach to women because that's who's ties to them, that's who gives them money. You know what I mean? Those are the individuals who sit in the pews every week. You know what I mean? They don't preach to the men because,
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean, don't, you know what I mean, like, have no place inside of that church other than to be used to, you know what I mean, rebuild a roof or whatever the case might be.
It was historically not like that. It's become that in too many churches, and the only way that can change is if more men step up and women step up and speak of it as a problem, because it is. And some, like within the Catholic Church, have definitely been getting louder and louder, complaining of the phrase is the feminization of the church. Even though that's a little confusing, because when you get into deep spirituality, the church is the bride of Christ. But no, no, really, male and strong masculine leadership positions have been neutered over the last half century, and
Oh yeah.
there's this thing has taken over that a guy named Michael Voris. I don't always approve of the guy. I like the guy. He's, even though I'm a sarcastic bastard, he's too much sometimes. But you know, Michael Voris. Shit, what was I calling? He's talking about how this emasculization of the church has been devastating, and you know, kowtowing to women and feminist sensibilities has taken over. To and I'm not, again. He's just one example. A lot have talked about it. We see it, and part of it is because the state incentivized the divorce culture. Nobody in the church wants to acknowledge that one either. The state incentivized women to divorce their husbands in particular. And then, you know, this cultural attitude pervaded that when the divorce happens, it's the man's fault. Well, no, the whole system is geared to get the woman to be financially incentivized to divorce him and take his kids. It just is. You have to fight to go any other way as a man. It didn't used to be that way. Um, and so uh, kids have grown up not knowing what a real mature father is. You know, to teach their kids both that warrior mentality and restraint, but that's implicit in the Bible too.
Yeah. I mean,
Jesus
like,
says we're not
you have
required to be
you
pussies,
have
but we're
to,
also, you know, we fight
yeah,
when
but
we need to.
yeah, but like there's too many fucking there's too many people telling us just to be pussies constantly, right?
It's a big problem. Yeah. And yeah, part of it is that, you know, you got these divorced women holding up the parish, and that sounds so harsh because in some sense it's like good that you're doing so, and then the other is like, well, are you doing so with your child support and alimony money? Because if so, that's not okay. You know, you're not even supposed to be divorced. You know, you're more likely to see that in Protestant churches, but you see it in Catholic parishes too. But I mean, the bigger issue is the you know, basically, social justice Marxist forces invaded a lot of Christian institutions, Catholic and not. But that's a whole nother show we could go into. The bottom line is, yeah, if you look at the scriptures and read them carefully, you're not required to be a pussy. Salty language is not. There's Christians who argue about it, but really, I think it depends on where you're at. Salty language is not that big a deal. You read St. Paul, he was a salty motherfucker. He was very sarcastic. I'm real surprised how often people can read the letters of Paul and not see how often he is pretty strong on irony and, you know, strong rhetoric words, you know.
Well, if you
Uh,
ever go back to like Proverbs or the Kings, right, and like you read
oh,
through these
there,
books,
yeah.
you know, like they're super based, right?
Proverbs, they are. Or get a good Catholic Bible and read something like Sirach. That's a base book, too.
Yeah,
But yeah, the Proverbs, the Psalms, the Proverbs, Ecclesiastes. Um, in fact, one of the major themes of Ecclesiastes, if y'all ever read it, just pick that book up, and like the book of
Oh,
Ecclesiastes, and just read it. It is very beautiful, right? And
but
it's
yeah, I used
actually
to,
it's about why knowledge is often uh, a sorrow. Why knowing things and understanding things, a whole lot of it is based on how knowing the way things really are is often painful, and it's beautiful when you appreciate a lot of it through that light.
right. Like, it's kind of like, I mean, like it's, how do I put this? Like, all right, so like I used to have this priest called Father Mahoney, who was, I mean, like he was the head of my parish when I grew up, the place where I was baptized and my kids were baptized, and like where my father was baptized, I mean, where my grandfather built the church, you know what I'm saying? And like this
Oh
dude, he
no.
was, I mean, he'd sit there and like call like, these uppity, I mean, priests or whatever, he called them fags as they walk by, you know what I'm saying? Right. And like he was that type of guy. Like he would sit there and call you a bitch. Like he had no qualms about, I mean, just calling an individual. And I'm like, fuck that guy, right? And he
Well, the
talked this,
priest,
yeah, right.
that's a little excessive, but go ahead.
Like, he because like he hated their uppity nature towards the individuals who actually built this parish, right? And now like my family isn't even really welcome inside of the parish, and we built it. Right, because these new fucking priests, they don't want, I mean, the blue collar workers in there. They want, I mean, they're uppity rich, what I mean, bankers and fucking lawyers and all these motherfuckers, the Italians who made well, what
I
I mean,
know
not the guys who are out there roofing and doing construction every day.
the only exception I'm going to take is I don't think a good priest would be literally should be calling people names, but otherwise, in
Oh
terms
no,
of
no,
the
no. He was
language,
saying, he would say it to other cardinals, right, or other priests and shit, right? Like he would stand
oh,
there, like, because he would go and help coach football and shit, right?
uh huh,
With my grandfather. My grandfather, he coached the football team, and like I mean, the fucking priest would be on, he'd go down and hang out, whatever, and work the concession stand, things of this nature. And like, him and a dude named Keith, I used to actually work with. These three here, and Keith was a Vietnam vet. They'd be
mm-hmm.
standing there bullshitting, drinking a beer, I mean, coaching the kids or whatever. And
Well, people
the
don't know that there's Catholic priests like this, but yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. Like he was an Irish working class guy. You know what I mean? He was just a
Mhm,
person. He was a dude. Like every Easter, like he would bring in
mhm.
a giant chocolate Easter bunny and bite the head off of it in the middle of church, right in the middle of mass. Right?
In the
The
middle
kids
of
love it.
mass, that's a little
Yeah,
much. Okay.
yeah.
Well,
I mean,
he's
like,
doing
it's
his
like
homily. Oh, like as part of his homily. Okay. Yeah.
well, like,
Okay.
he was a good dude in general,
Uh huh.
right?
Uh
You know what I
huh.
mean? Like he was like we all like really enjoyed, I mean, being around him because he was just cool. Like
Uh huh.
he was just a person. He was like the rest of us. And like the rest of the priests really frowned on him for being this way. You know what I mean? But like he was of the people. He was, like when you had a problem, you would go to him. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
when like some kid was having an issue in school, like, fucking like he'd be the motherfucker who'd like they'd call, like, hey, look, this kid's having an issue or whatever. And he'd talk with him and shit. He was that person. He was the guy who heard
Right.
confession and shit. He was a
Uh huh.
great priest. He was amazing,
Uh huh.
right? Like he would counsel families and shit. He was
Okay,
that
so
guy.
so who would he be cussing at, or you?
Like
There,
the
there's,
other
I do
the
want to
other
get to the
priest
point that
who
salty language is not necessarily bad. It really
yeah,
isn't. Saying
yeah,
something
well,
like
like the
"fucking
other
shit,"
yeah,
but
the other priest who would stand there and walk by and like turn up their nose, I mean, because he was down here, I mean, like fucking hanging out with, I mean, the regular dregs of society. I mean, because he's supposed to be better than that.
yeah. Well, I mean, I would dress down priests for that attitude. I would. I don't know. I don't know the context, but I see the flavor of what you're saying. I will say that literally words like I was taught by a Catholic priest. I didn't grow up Catholic, but that's a longer story. I was taught by a Catholic priest who was working at a smallish boys' school on the south side of Chicago in the early '80s. I literally grew up around a part of my life. I grew up around like the where they shot the Blues Brothers movie. Literally, it's pretty cool. But anyway, Catholic priest, Augustinian monk. Okay, so I mean, he had given a vow of poverty, had a doctorate and a couple of masters, spoke a few languages, was principal of a boys' school in a working class neighborhood, and he wore the monk outfit with the rope and the hassock and the or is it cassock? I can never remember, and the sandals, whole 9 yards, right? And I remember him coming into homeroom one say and just saying they just changed the bus schedule for no reason. That's a bunch of bullshit, and he would swear and use salty language. And even occasionally see what did you not something like did you not hear me? Maybe you need to get the shit out of your ears. In other words, a way of saying fucking listen.
Yeah.
Right? It wasn't all boys school, and it was mostly run by men. Those are almost all fucking gone now. It's sad, but I mean, he would say, "Listen, you swearing words like that, you're not supposed to take the Lord's name in vain." And even and things like "God damn it" are really a bad habit. But past that, these words, fuck, shit, you know, cock, sucker. Well, I mean, any of
Motherfucker.
that it has something to do. It's more to do with context, and like he didn't even say, "Don't swear so much around girls; they don't like it," which is true, by the way. It is, although some women it goes the other way, but actually, it's real predictable. A lot of girls don't like too much swearing. Don't swear around your mom. It's probably more polite. That sort of thing. But here we're all a bunch of guys. Fuck it. And
Yeah, that's kind of what I get
that was,
down to.
and he was a priest on top of all this, right? I remember that all stuck with me, even though I wasn't Catholic at the time. So I really feel what you're saying. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's kind of like the important thing, right? And I mean it's like, and that's like where, like, like you should understand that, like your relationship with, fucking God or your maker, your creator, whoever the hell it is that you feel as though, you want to, like, I mean, have a moment with, like, yo, he accepts you for who the fuck you are. Like, you ain't got to be nobody fucking special. You got to worry about all that extracurricular, getting dressed up in a suit and looking nice and putting on good shoes and all the extracurricular bullshit, because, like, it's unnecessary. Like, fucking you are who you are, and God made you what you're supposed to be. And, like, you should lean into your traits that he made you good at. And that's, I mean, that's the best thing that you could possibly do. And you should, I mean, have faith in yourself, because having faith in
Yeah,
yourself has faith in your maker. And that's the important thing. And a lot of people fucking miss in general, like,
they do.
just as a whole.
They do. They really do. And I really fault. See, the only thing I get sick of Catholic bashers because there's a lot of hypocrisy that comes out of Catholic bashers. Let me tell you. There's this verse about take the plank out of your own eye, but regardless, when I criticize the church, this has happened to every Protestant denomination to some degree, and there's a whole lot
Later,
of
Joe.
your.
Thank you for stopping by.
I'm sorry. Oh,
I was
we
no,
get
no,
a
I was
super
saying,
chat.
later to a dude in the chat. He said he was leaving.
Later, Joe. This has happened to every part of Christianity. The social justice mentality, the feminist mentality, that's taken hold, and the upper class mentality has taken hold. Like Catholics like are acting now like they want to virtue to 1970s WASP culture, which is dead, by the way, and it's social justice culture now. But they have this. There's a class issue within Christianity that a lot of the upper class Christians don't see. I can't tell you how many ladies wilted when they heard me on a stream talking about how I'm Catholic, and then words like bullshit come out of my mouth. I'm like, well, this isn't for you. There's this idea that to become a Christian, you have to be a pussy. No, you do want to be a smart warrior, and make sure your cause is righteous and fought correctly. But no, and the people on the lower ends of our society, the people who've had rough lives, they say words like fucking shit all the time. Um, in fact, this might be a good time to end, but can I give you some cool Catholic trivia?
Sure.
Um, okay, and this goes back to Latin. You know what the word vulgar means? I mean, okay, in English, vulgar means you're a kind of a low quality person who swears a lot and has greasy fingers and fixes his nose. You're just vulgar, right? That's what
Right.
vulgar means to us. But the root of that is from the Latin, which means common or commoner. And the original Bible translation into Latin is called the Vulgate.
Yeah.
And it was called the Vulgate because it was written for the vulgar people, because what the vulgar people were with the common people who spoke Latin. I mean, later on, 1,000 years later, there was a fight in the church about letting common people have other translations. But initially, that thing called the Vulgate was for the vulgar people. It was for the commoners, for the poor people, because that was what they spoke.
Well,
The
like
educated class that spoke
this
Greek.
class ideology has always been a
It
thing. There's
is.
always been the
It,
haves and the have-nots,
right,
and
and
you
the
know,
striving class that wants to be
like
better than the others.
like,
Yeah.
and this is why, like, I like to maintain a mentality of honor, right? Rather than like trying to play on their terms, I want to play on mine, right? Like, for instance, I'm gonna give you a good for instance here, right? Now, I have uncles who own islands, right? I have uncles who have, massive amounts of money and drive Mercedes and shit, right?
Okay.
And they made well off of what they got. And they're in their 60s or 70s at this point. But when they run into me, they come up, all right. They go, hey, how you doing, Tom? And they go, hey, what's going on? And like, I look the way I do, I act the way I do, I hold myself the way I do. And like, I'll tap them in the fucking ribs and shit. You know what I mean? Like, what's going on, buddy? And I'll throw my hands up and they'll do the same thing, because it's important that I maintain that mental with them and that image back and forth, that remember, we're both still men. Long before I stand here and maintain the mental of we're both businessmen.
Yep. Yep. And that automatically marks you as a certain kind of man too. That's the thing.
Right. But it's not just that. It's the fact that, like, you remember you're dealing with a tiger, right? Like, you have to keep that brain on you, that because I want to always have some, like, I think every conversation with another man is a form of violence, right?
That's a little much, but okay.
Well, no, like okay,
right.
so like me
we
and
are
this,
testing ideas. We are testing each other.
well, hang on, let me if, like, when you're in person, right? And I'm in person with a conversation with another man, and like, it's the both of us, like there was two of us, me and this Puerto Rican dude down in trucking school one time, right? And we're sitting there having a conversation and we're bullshitting, but at the same point we're sitting here laughing and joking, and in the end of the conversation, like, midway through the conversation, we're both sitting there squared up like we're about to have a boxing match, right? Like, 1 foot forward, you know what I'm saying? Like, leaning in the pocket a little bit, right? Because like, that's the basic mentality of every conversation you should have with a man. If you're having you're having a conversation with another man and you're standing there with them, there should never be a point where you can't step back and hop in your guard, and put your fucking hands up at a moment's notice.
Well, I mean, in the reality, this is just a reality. In face-to-face male conversations, there is always an implicit possibility of it going to violence. But I don't want to beat a dead horse, and I'm just going to say that the smart warrior knows how to avoid confronting or giving an enemy a pretext. But you're also
you don't ask
also there's something
like,
to be said for.
You always want to make sure that, like, Sun Tzu said, if you're gonna have a battle, do it on your ground, right?
Well,
That's the important part, right? Is to make sure that you understand it. Like, yo, I don't give a fuck about how much money you have, motherfucker, because at the moment I can reach out and break your jaw right now.
Yeah, well, yeah. I get some of that, but there's again, let's just say there's real value in. I've had to learn the hard way, especially as you get older. There's ways to use your mouth as a weapon, and you could use it to start a fight, or you could use it to stop one. And I'll just leave it at that. Maybe we should close it out.
Think about it this way, right? So, like, if that you're talking to a professional boxer, right? And he might not be a good boxer, so you don't have a lot of money, right? And you're a rich man. Are you not gonna be concerned about getting punched in the fucking face from that guy?
Yes, of course you will be.
Right? Like, yo, this is what I'm saying. Like, yo,
Most rich
this
guys will
is
be terrified of you. So
yes, and this is kind of the point. I'd much rather have it on that level. So at minimum, I have some ground in the conversation rather than yielding ground to them and going like, oh man, like I'm gonna fucking try and negotiate with you in this type of deal, whatever, because that's never gonna fucking net me anything. Like I'm never gonna get anywhere in that negotiation because like in order for me to gain anything, that means I'm gonna have to yield my advantage to begin with.
well, let me just say I admire the spirit, if not always quite agreeing with the strategic implementation. And why don't we leave it at that, my friend? Because I need to go to bed
Yeah,
soon.
you're getting
God bless
tired.
you.
I got you. I
Yep.
got you. All right, man. It's been about an hour and 20, and that's cool. We finally got up to like 25 fucking people watching, but I feel you. All right,
Sweet.
man.
Good
Yo,
to
it
see
was
you all. Good to see you all. Good to see you all. Really. Hope you come back.
yeah. Yo, you'll learn the regular characters. Bearman Prophecy, somebody that comes around, fun in the car with kids is another one. First name, last name is around all the time. Hopefully, you know what I'm saying? Like you have a chance to check out the comments under this afterwards. You know what I'm saying? I hope
Oh
like you try to
yeah.
like 'cause I want you to be part of this, man. You know what I'm saying? Like this is me and your show on Sunday. All right. That card
Sweet.
that I made is for every Sunday. It's for me and
Every
you.
Sunday. I'm looking forward to it.
That's what I'm
Literally,
saying.
there are some Catholics who are going to burst blood vessels when they hear about this shit.
Yo,
I don't
who gives
care.
a
I just
fuck?
don't care. I'm
Come on,
sorry. I
man.
don't.
Yo, look.
Good
Look.
night, everybody, and God bless you and Ave
Okay.
Maria.
All right, man. We're gonna get out of here. Thank you, everybody. Make sure, you know what I'm saying, y'all join the Discord. You know what I mean? Come and make sure you get notified of all the videos I drop because YouTube is a bitch. All right. We love y'all, motherfuckers. Y'all enjoy. Peace be like one and may God be